Welcome in, everybody, to a special edition of the show. We will be going over Wandavision in review. It's going to be full spoilers, just so everybody knows. So after we do our intro and all that, feel free to, tune out, I guess, if you don't want to hear spoilers, but I'm assuming if you're listening, you want to hear the spoilers. As always, you can find the episodes on your podcast platforms of choice, such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram. It's at AMNationPod. Make sure you hit that follow button on both of those. On YouTube, search Amalgamation Nation and hit that sub button for AM Nation and Undead Red Bull merch. Go to teesprings.com/store/AMNation-Undead Red Bull. You can find it down below in the description of the podcast episode. You can also find it on our pinned tweet on Twitter and on twitch.tv/Undead Red Bull in David's descriptions as well. You just got your stimmy from Joey B, so put some good use to it. You know what I'm saying? Get yourself some stuff. If you want to be a part of the show, you can leave a voicemail or text the show 815-556-9089. You can watch us live on twitch.tv/Undead Red Bull. That's where you watch David stream out throughout the week as well. Make sure you follow and give him a sub. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a free sub a month, so give it to Undead Red Bull. Like I said, this will be the Wandavision review episode, and then we're back Tuesday for the March Madness bracket show. So, without further ado, let me introduce everybody. Of course, I am the anime watching, booze cruising, Olivia Munn's liking, John Cena's following, hostess with the mostest himself, Ryan Green Machine Ebner, and I am joined by, from North Carolina, Brendan BK Kennelly. BK, how are you, sir?
I'm glad it's Friday and that I don't have to go to work tomorrow. And slight sporting news here: Arsenal plays Tottenham tomorrow, so it's their big rival for EPL. It's at 12:30, so I got some chores I have to do before then, but I'm ready for that game. Big game.
Oh,
then college basketball the rest of the day.
Of course. I've got the Illini and Rutgers behind me as the Illini continue to pound the Big Ten, baby. Let's go.
Like a grape. Crushing them like a grape.
Like a grape. Running through the Big Ten, baby. Champagne. Let's get it. And joining us this evening as well from twitch.tv/Undead Red Bull, Mr. Undead Red Bull himself, David. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty great.
Oh, yeah, it's Friday. Oh, dude, of course.
Friday.
I had enough time when I stopped off work to get me a cold one, and because I haven't done a Friday show, but my lord, I don't know the last time I recorded on a Friday. I think it probably was Natty Nights, and on Fridays we always cracked them, so I had to do it for old time's sake. There we go. Nice.
Nice.
Modelo Limoni Sol. Shout out to him. Pretty good.
AMNationPod@gmail.com. That's your email.
At gmail.com. Shout out Modelo. Give us a sponsor. That'd be dope. It's really funny. I took a picture of the two tall boys, and I sent it to one of my buddies, Nick, too. And he goes, "I love you," and I was like, "I don't know what that means." And I realized, I'm like, oh, he thinks one of these are for him, so I guess now I have to give him one. That's crazy. Didn't really think that was the case, but I guess it is. Like I said to start the show, it is full on motherfucking spoilers. If you're listening live on any of those platforms, whether it's twitch.tv/Undead Red Bull, I guess if you follow me on Facebook, you can watch live there, on YouTube or on Twitter at AmNationPod. Feel free to drop your questions for WandaVision as we go, or your comments as well. Let's get started with it. Just going to go through. It's the very first MCU series to appear exclusively on Disney Plus. Falcon and Winter Soldier will debut next week, March 19th, but this was the first one. There was 9 episodes in total. There was tons of characters, right? Whether it was Wanda, Vision, Agnes/Agatha, Monica Rambeau, Jimmy Woo, Darcy. We had Pietro, Taylor, Director Hayward, douchebag, and the 2 sons as well, Billy and Tommy Maximoff. It was the whole series directed by Matt Shakman, which is pretty interesting as well. That was only one director. I was pretty shocked by that. So let's start with, let's get the bad out of the way, right? So let's start with you, David. What didn't you like about the show? Is this the first time that they've given us anything like this from the MCU? So what was your thoughts? The bad stuff, I guess.
Let's see. To start off, obviously the first 2 episodes were pretty slow. You already knew that I already talked to you about the earlier. It's a little rough to get going into it. But that's like any story. But they did it a little bit, I don't know, because they made it more black and white and they made it more old time feel in the sitcom world. I get where they were trying to go with it. So I guess it fits overall in the whole series. It works out great. like her whole story and back end of why it's, you find out later on in the series why it was in black and white. But if you're first starting, like if you've never seen it and you're trying to get into it and you watch these first 2 episodes, it's almost like, well, now you have to give it another 2 episodes because those first 2 episodes not going to dictate how the show goes. So it's kind of rough, right, when you're trying to grab that first audience in. So that's one thing I didn't like. Another could be how they gave Monica her powers. I don't really care for that. Obviously we knew she had to get her powers because of her. If you read the comics, you know what she becomes.
Right.
But she got her powers by going through the electric field multiple times, and it changed her DNA. Because if you do that, but then you also have to think of all the other people that went through it multiple times as well now. Do their DNA get changed? Or is it only her? You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's one thing I don't really like as well. Throughout the whole premise of that's how she gets her power. Trying to think of other things. And those are really the main 2 that come off the top of my head that stand out.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, you made a good point with the black and white because obviously, as you finish the show, like you said, you understand like why it went to that way. You're like, oh, wow, that's fucking great. But in the beginning, if that's not what you were expecting, you're a little bit taken back by it for some people. Elaine, if you can't handle me at my black and white, you don't deserve me at my Scarlet Witch. Hey, you know, it'd be like that. It'd be like that sometimes.
Nice.
I do love that, David, yesterday when we were talking about it after the show, you're like, if I wanted to watch I Love Lucy, I just would have watched I Love Lucy. And I was like, well, hey, it's a good point, too. It's a good point, too. BK, what were some things that you didn't like?
Just to, beat a dead horse here, but I agree with David. I think there was a reason they released the first 2 episodes at once, because the first one was a very slow burn, and maybe it's just endemic with these kind of twist or like reveal series or shows. They kind of have to like slowly lead you on, but I feel like there wasn't enough of that carrot in that first one. It was more cutesy. I enjoyed it, but yeah, does it give you like that hook where you're like, ooh, I gotta watch that next one? And I was like, not really. So I think it was really smart to package those 2 together. I'm a big Doctor Strange fan, so this might sound weird. There's this big witch fight going on, and the Sorcerer Supreme doesn't show up whatsoever. That's just like weird. That like it doesn't even come up once. That I don't know. That just seems odd. And they'll probably they'll have an explanation for it. And Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness. Like there'll be something like, oh, I was off in wherever. They'll have like some one-off line.
Right. Well, because we do know that he at some point between Endgame and Spider-Man 2, he's off-world. He's gone. Right, because that's what they Samuel Jackson. Well, we think it's Samuel Jackson. It's not. It's not Nick Fury. That actually tells Peter that. So yeah, you are correct. I'm sure they'll find some way to retcon that.
It's just it'll be like a one-off line where you'd be like, oh, okay, like it's just, what else did I not like? Those were 2 of the main things. I had something in my brain there. I completely the whole. All right, so we're getting into real spoilery here now. So like, this is the last warning here because I'm out to ruin something. The whole Pietro Maximoff thing. Where,
that was mine.
I think, and we were all texting like, all right, they've confirmed it. X-Men, they're here. We're here. Everything is great. And then it was like, oh yeah, no, his name's Ralph Boner. Honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's Ralph Bonner. I didn't even think it was Boner. There's an H. I thought it was Ralph Bonner. And they're like, Boner. I was like, no, just make it Boner. Then it's literally Boner. Don't put the H in there. That's Bonner.
I did forget about that.
And so they pulled that, and that almost seemed like, I feel like it was very tongue-in-cheek by Kevin Feige and everyone involved, where it's like, I feel like they shouldn't have played with our emotions that much. I give them some credit, but at the same time, it was like, everyone was so excited because we hadn't had any MCU-related content in, it was about, 8-9 months, because Spider-Man came out, it was around July 2019, if I'm remembering roughly correctly.
Right.
And so we hadn't had anything in that long, so, like, everyone's literally fiending First off, and then we had the Disney Investor Day where it's like, yeah, we got all this shit coming. We got the X-Men. We got Fantastic Four. So you're looking for any sliver of hope that the X-Men are getting in there. And then they do that, and then they pull the rug from underneath of you, and it's just like, hey, man. It's like Charlie Brown with the football thing. It's like, that's not cool. It's not cool. That's not cool.
It's a very good point. Yeah, mine was definitely going to be the Ralph Boner part, just because, like I said, yeah, I immediately lost my shit when that happened. I was like, holy fuck! Like we're going full blown. Like we're tearing it down. The multiverse is here. Let's fucking go. And that's not the direction as of right now that they've taken. Right? They kind of could be a red herring. We don't know. We don't know what's going to come out of this. I would find that so hard to believe that you bring Evan Peters just for that. But I could be wrong. Marvel don't give no fucks. I don't know. Another thing, too, besides that one, is that, man, and I understand, this is something that happens so many times, is that fans tend to, blow it up. Their expectations are so high. That something has to happen, right? Everybody was expecting some type of Doctor Strange. People were expecting other surprises. And you didn't really get that. And that's not my complaint. My complaint was that the only one that I wanted so bad was when Monica talks about an aerospace engineer. And I'm like, holy fuck. We're getting Reed Richards. Some type of throw off, because she talks about how she has an aerospace engineer, but he's in space, or they're in space. And I'm like, oh my God. Here it goes. We're getting the Fantastic Four. I'm so hyped. I'm praying to God it's John Krasinski. I'm like, please, God. I will, because I woke up early to watch that episode, and it'll be 6 a.m., and I'm like, fuck it, dude. I will bawl. I will weep tears of joy at 6 a.m. if this is the case. And then it's just some random-ass fucking chick from the military, and I was fucking pissed. Absolutely, I was just aggravated. I'm like, no! You don't do that! This whole show dropped so many little things that people are waiting for, because this is the kickoff of Phase 4, right? We know we're getting a Black Widow movie in May, but that's supposed to, take place prior, obviously, to Endgame, because she did. So I have to assume that's not really going to do much of anything except just give us a Black Widow movie, which is going to be cool. But this is really the first piece of MCU material to really dive into for Phase 4, and that was the only thing to me. I was like, oh, yikes. I'm like, I really wanted that to be Reed Richards. I'm like, oh. And then, yeah, the Ralph Boner thing. Boy, you talk about blue balling the shit out of me. That's what Kevin Feige and the MCU did to me there. Oh, man. That was the one.
You were really excited for that. And so, when I initially saw that with, Colleen, I think I commented on it. I was like, Ryan's going to be upset.
I was. When they're like, who are you? Ralph Boner's like, oh, and he's freaking out. I'm like, God damn it, you sons of bitches. Please. I was pissed. I was very upset. Yes, he is a witness protection. He sure is. So yeah, that was really my only complaints. It was some things like that. I mean, I didn't mind the slow burn. The first episode, everybody said, yeah, it was a little bit ooh. But you get that. But at the very end of that first episode, you get that weird vibe when the boss is choking, and the wife's save him. And it's this weird eerie vibe. And as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, this all right. We're gonna do some weird shit. I'm into it. Then the second episode got a little bit more strange. I'm like, man, all right, this is a cool vibe. It's such a weird genre the show is. It's kind of almost, and it's in multiple genres at once. So it's kind of its own thing, which I think was great. Let's talk about the things that we did enjoy from the show. David, I'll start with you. What are I'm sure there's a plethora, but the things that you enjoyed about this show?
Trying to think overall now. I would say the highlight is we already basically hit all the spoilers. The best thing is Vision is technically back, so he has all his memories. He knows who he was. He knows his past, and he knows everything. So that is probably the second biggest takeaway from this whole MCU series so far to set off, because now you know Vision is technically alive and back, right? The next thing would be Wanda, or Scarlet Witch now. She is, if you watch the end credit scenes, both end credit scenes from the last episode, you notice that she is in an isolated island learning the witch book that she stole, or didn't steal, she took.
Yeah, the Darkhold.
She is going to become more. So I like how they're leading more into it. I get like it's the first season and they're kind of building up. So now we're gonna get really into it now going forward. She's gonna be, we already knew she's the most powerful Avenger. Now she's just going to be more powerful, per se. And then I like to see where they go with this, because I have a feeling if it turns out like how most comic go, she potentially can become the villain. So let's see if that goes that way. I don't know if they will, but they may. I don't know if they want to build her up and make her a good character and do all this for multiple seasons to make her be the bad person at the end of it all. So I don't know if that's what Disney will do. The other takeaway, I'm kind of curious what they do with Monica, because technically she's also considered Captain Marvel, but we already have a Captain Marvel, so I don't know what they're gonna do there. And I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be in the next Captain Marvel movie.
She is, right? In that second credit, or the first credit scene, they picture her going up to go meet Nick Fury.
Yeah. With the whole Skrull thing.
Yep.
I already know she's already been casted, and she's supposed to be in the next Captain Marvel. So I don't know what her role is in there. But like I said, I don't know what because she's technically Captain Marvel too. So I don't know who gets to be Captain Marvel.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
probably not going to switch it.
With her as Photon, I'd have to assume maybe they're trying to build the Ultimates, which could be a whole thing too, which would be pretty dope.
Sure.
Pretty dope.
Yeah, so they'll probably do that, or maybe I have no idea what they're gonna do. We'll probably find that out in the next Captain Marvel movie, which I think comes out next year. I don't know.
I'll look it up for you.
I think it's next year or the following year. I already know it's in.
It's in Phase 4.
Things got delayed. Yeah. I know it got delayed, so I have no idea now because everything got delayed. But I think it's next year or the following year. But yeah, I was excited for that. Overall, the show is still fantastic and great. It builds up, and then like some of the smaller wins would be like Woo, Jimmy Woo, fucking great. I think everyone loves him, right? He was great. There's all the little small stuff you notice, like the main thing I like that everyone always posted on TikTok and all around, where he does his little card trick, where he hands his business card. He learns it from Ant-Man.
Yeah,
right.
Because he was on house arrest, and he showed him the magic trick. That's literally where he learned it from, which is fucking awesome. Like little things like that, when you notice it, like I didn't notice it at first, right, until I saw it on TikTok. But things like that is what makes the whole series kind of cool, right? When you have small little things like that. And then I believe it's Darcy Lewis. I'd have to double check really quick, but I'm pretty sure she was the IT person, correct?
Yes, she was.
Yeah, she's from Thor 1 and 2.
Yeah. So, she comes in and gives you like a nice little comic relief and kind of a cool character, which is kind of awesome, right? So her and Wu kind of made a nice little combo there throughout some of the show. So instead of having Wanda and Vision, like there's all these main characters going through, you had these little small like in between roles that kind of make comic relief and kind of made it more fun, and make it more kind of like a sitcom, like kind of what they were like. Basically that's what their feel was. If you go off the first 2 episodes, it's kind of supposed to be like a sitcom series feel, mixed in with some MCU action fighting, right? So that's what it was. That's exactly what they hit spot on. And overall the show was great. So be looking forward now to what Captain coming out next week. So
so it's November 11th, 2022. That's what it's set at right now.
End of next year. Well,
yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, right.
No delay.
Hopefully, no more delays. BK, what were some of the things that you really enjoyed about the show?
I like how they kind of progressed through the television eras. It kind of almost was like going through like a time capsule there, like each episode in the beginning. That was very neat and almost nostalgic in a sense. When I like saw like especially the '90s era shows, I was like callbacks. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's how it was. Times were different. That I really like that. And then and what David touched upon there, I think was a great point with Jimmy Woo and Darcy. They were a good comic relief in there to really kind of cut through. There's a lot of seriousness with Wanda's character and like unraveling the mystery of everything. There's a lot of that, and then also Catherine Hahn is a gem. She played Agnes. She is an absolute gem. She's probably one of the funniest people. I love watching whatever she's in. Like I loved her in Anchorman. Like she's always had like smaller roles. I would love her just to like just take on a comedy role for a movie and just be like the central star. Just because she can make any character like whatever if hilarious. She's so funny. She's very expressive with her face and the movements and everything like that. So I think there was a good bit of comic relief because the whole Vision Wanda thing is it's very serious. Like like Vision's like, I don't remember anything. And then Wanda's like, you don't need to know much. And she's kind of like, well, I don't necessarily remember everything either. And so like they're going on this journey of figuring out like what happened and reconnecting. And so you kind of need something to kind of come in there. It's like, all right, hey, whoa, you gotta enjoy yourself at the same time. Can't go overly serious because then it necessarily wouldn't be a Marvel property. Because the MCU is always good at kind of balancing it. They know when to like reel it in or when like they go dark and heavy. They kind of come in with like the punch, like, hey, don't worry. Like the whole it reminds me with all the comic scenes, especially in it was Infinity War with Star-Lord and Gamora, and she's like, hey, and she's talking to Star-Lord like, hey, like you got to promise, like you're gonna kill me if I get caught because Thanos can't get the Infinity Stone.
Right.
Like you have to kill me, and it's like a super serious conversation asking your lover and your boyfriend like, hey, you gotta axe this, and that's when Drax is like, he's being Mr. Invisible or like whatever. He's like, I move so silently and so slow that you think I'm invisible, and like Marvel's always done a very good job. Like you have that serious and like you're locked in, then all of a sudden, boom, they interject that little bit of humor, and then you kind of smile, and then like it eases your tensions back down. And I think they did a good job with that balancing with Wanda and Vision and the director Tyler Hayward there, who like you knew he was just sinister the whole time. You're just like, all right, what's this MFer up to? What's this for? I don't like the guy. He just looks like a generic white douchebag. Like I know I don't like him. Like I saw him on the other side of the street, I would just be like, you point, you'd be like douchebag. Like like that's you just know. So I think they did a really good job with that.
Yeah, 100%. Cleveland, born and bred for Catherine. So good things do come from out of Ohio.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah, every once in a while. Sun shines on a dog's ass every once in a while. I will tell you, though, one of the big things I really loved about it, besides everything that you guys hit on, is that they do such a great job of showing you the stages of grief. And that is what we end up learning is really this whole show is about Wanda and Wanda dealing with the loss of Vision. And they do such a great job of that. And obviously the payoff of, like, they kept teasing it, kept snipping at it a little bit. They're like, oh, we're going to get a full-blown Scarlet Witch. And I was waiting for it. Because nothing against, like, the character of Wanda Maximoff. That's really cool. But the Scarlet Witch is such a pivotal character in Marvel lore. So, like, I'm like, okay, like, are we ever going to get there? And, like, they kind of gave us a little bit of it in Endgame when she's fucking up Thanos. And I'm like, damn, okay, see, like, that's what I like. This is what I like to see. And then the fact that she like continues to expand the hex, and it's this big thing, and I'm like, oh man, we're getting it. Like something's happening. And then when she ends up fighting Agatha, and you fully get the transformation. Like what a payoff! Like her new costume, everything. It's just
looks so good.
The bee's knees, man. It is the shit. I was very, very excited about it. The Darkhold thing was really dope because as somebody that is a big fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you will know that there are bits and pieces during that show where the Darkhold is a very, very big deal. And some people were complaining because the book looks different than it did in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they're like, it would have been cooler if it looked the same. Then you could really confirm how canon Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is. They've said so many times that, like, yes, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is taking a place during the same time frame, but it's just its own little thing, right? It's just off there doing its thing. And as a huge fan, of course, I would love to see full-blown connections, but, like, that's just not how that worked. That's not the approach they took. And, I still think it was really cool seeing, the tease at the end where Wanda hears her kids and you're like, oh shit, like what is this going to be? I love every week seeing the memes of people like Marvel fans like, that's Mephisto. That has to be Mephisto. Right there, that's Mephisto. And it's like, they didn't even give you it. They didn't give you any of it. They let Agatha be the main bad villain, and then obviously Director Hayward also gets in there as a villain as well, and a douchebag, like BK said. So like that's all super cool. I think the show overall, it was fantastic. Like what a great start to what this is going to be for Disney Plus. But now the pressure's on because the bar has been set of what we're going to expect, and we're getting Falcon and Winter Soldier, and what we think that could be. I have to assume, again, it's going to continue to connect. That's what they've done such a great job at. And then I think from there, we start to get more movies coming out. We get Loki as well, the Loki series too, this summer. So a lot of expectations, high expectations. We'll see what Marvel does. Again, I was just so shocked that yet again, they just nailed it. Because the whole time, I'm like, bro, they got to slip. They haven't slipped in a hot minute. So I'm like, something's got to happen here. And I'm like, this is their first time doing the show. Like, this is a very different thing than doing a movie. Like, what's this going to be? And they nailed it. They did such a great job that it's unreal, to be honest with you. Like, man, why is it that poor DCU over there just fuck it up? Like, they can't get anything right. But damn it, MCU even gets the shows right. That is so, man, so shit. That's why high hopes for this Snyder Cut, but...
Yeah, they're very much on the Joe DiMaggio hit streak here, just absolutely crushing it. And I loved Wanda's Scarlet Witch outfit. I was just like, it's fire. Because they made that outfit like not corny, like they still kind of stuck to the roots, but they just made it fucking awesome. I saw it and I was like, yes, it's tight as shit. Like, I told Colleen, I was like, oh yeah, that's like her original costume. She's like, oh really? I was like, well, like it didn't look nearly that cool. Like, I was like, it was like a Halloween costume instead. She's like, oh, okay. And I really like how how you touched upon it too, is because I've told Colleen like for a while, like we're rewatching the MCU, and that's like a little spoiler bit there for y'all. We're gonna be doing something here in the future, so just stay tuned. We'll talk about it later.
Boom.
We were rewatching the MCU, and I told her, I was like, man, I was like, Wanda is so strong. I was like, just in comic world, I was like, Scarlet Witch, I was like, she's a fucking badass. And the whole House M storyline, I was like, in my opinion, she's like one of the strongest. Just because if you can change reality for everybody,
pretty strong.
You're nearly OP, and that's like one of the things too with Scarlet Witch and Vision is that you have these incredibly strong characters that are like, linking together, but also seem flawed. But they are because Vision can phase in and out of everything. He shoots a laser beam like from his head. He can change his density. Like that. He can really fall through the earth. He can breathe in space. He's OP too. But it's like, but they did a good job making him still flawed, likable, and to where like you feel like a connection with him, even though it's kind of weird because like he is not a human. He's a robot. Like she is in love with the robot, but you're sold on it. You're like, yeah, hey, like no, Vision. Like I don't think of him like that. and they do a good job of really just making that like not weird, because that could be totally weird. Which like I don't know how they pulled that off.
Yeah, 100%. They did such a great job overall with this show. Let's get into what some people have asked, like questions that they sent in, and let's get into also theories moving forward, because like we said, this is the kickstart of Phase 4. There is so much potential here of what is going to happen. We feel like we know for sure it's going to link to one movie. We know for sure Wanda is carrying over into the Multiverse of Madness. Now, to David's point,
Really too.
Yeah, right.
No, Monica's going into Captain Marvel.
Right, so that's what I'm going to say. So that's linked there. We believe Darcy Lewis is going to be connected into Thor: Love and Thunder, and that Jimmy Woo is actually already said is a part of Ant-Man and Wasp, the Quantum movie that's coming out.
Good.
But see, there's another movie that Wanda could connect to, and that is Spider-Man 3. So we're going to get into that as well. But first, we had a couple things there. Like, one of the big questions is, and this is from Elaine, what happened to the kids? Right? They're gone. Well, I could answer that part. They're gone. Because they weren't real. So they got, just like Vision, they got phased away. Boom, they're gone. But the second part of the question, do they come back? Is Wanda going to create another reality? And to what I've said a little earlier ago, you got to hear their kids at the end screaming, Mom! And then that's when her eyes was like, she's like, what? So I'll go to you, BK. Like, what do you think is the potential there with the kids?
Well, I don't think that they're real. I think that's like been proven that they're not real. And maybe there's like shards of their like reflection, maybe like in the mirror dimension, like we saw like with Doctor Strange. I think there's like shards of theirs existence like elsewhere, and I think it's more or less a MacGuffin going forward, kind of for her character in the next movie. The kids come back and eventually have like character arcs down the line, but I feel like that's almost too much too soon to like really like, oh yeah, we're gonna kind of develop the kids into like comic characters and everything like that, because they're supposed to continually age rapidly, super quick. So like they would be like, you would assume by the next time she finds them, they would be like teenagers, if not like college kids who are like have the powers and everything like that. So I think maybe she gets up with D Strange, and they're trying to like navigate and find them. Is it D Strange?
This man said D Strange. You know what I'm saying?
D Strange. That D is strange.
Oh Lord.
Really? What? No, why does it go like that? It's normal, baby. I'm off track. And so I think it's going back to like the MacGuffin. It's something that's kind of driving her character forward, and maybe that's how she kind of connects with Doctor Strange. And great memory on the whole that you think she could be in Spider-Man 3 there, because D Strange is confirmed to be in Spider-Man 3. So Wanda could make a post. I do completely agree with David that Photon / Monica Rambeau is definitely going to be in Captain Marvel 2. Hopefully they do some like Alpha Flight with that. Like that'd be great. Get some Abigail Brand, who's like used to be like who was the head of Alpha Flight there for a while. Just like she's kind of like an alien character. She's just got like green hair. She's like head of it. She's like super spy, super sexy, just like awesome. Like if we can get her in there too, like that'd be great.
100%. David, what is your thoughts on what happens to the kids moving forward?
I think BK touched on a good point on almost pretty much what happens to kids. Our kids don't exist anymore, right? That's pretty much confirmed, or at least we believe is confirmed, right? The whole world is gone. They're with it, and her made-up vision is gone too, right? All that's gone. Her hearing the kids, I mean, that could be almost anything, right? It could just be a literal memory of her, because she created them, right? So technically it's still in her head no matter what. She made it. She's still going to hear voices like that. She's still going to hear the vision that she created. Still going to hear the old vision. She's going to, all of that. All those memories are going to be in her head. Now, what do they do with the kids? That I don't know. To be honest, if they're going to do anything with the kids, I don't think it's going to be anything movie related. It would probably be WandaVision series related if they continue making seasons for the show. I don't know if they're gonna do it a second season, third season. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know if they're gonna switch to movies, or they, each person gets their own series. I don't know. So
Right.
if they're doing like another season with her, where she gets seasons instead of movies, or TV show instead of movies, then maybe that's something that they look at down in the future for developing the kids, or a way to bring the kids back. But if that's what they're gonna do, then it's probably gonna be a post-credit scene from a movie that leads up to maybe the season 2, or something that could happen in season 2 of the show. Now, as for her being in Spider-Man, yeah, I mean, there's so much rumors going around on what's going on in the Spider-Man with the multiverse that shit, we could say yeah. I mean, you just throw it in there with all the rumors that they've had with all the old Spider-Man coming back. Like everything's rumors. So none of it's been confirmed. So I mean, definitely be in there. And then that would just help out that whole theory that we want to go. If she's not going to get a movie and she's going to be on mostly a TV show, then it probably makes sense for her to show up in either a Doctor Strange movie or in the Spider-Man multiverse movie. Those would make the most sense for her character role. As of now, from what we know, those would make the most sense for her to appear in. They could, just because it's a TV series, the next one's coming right up, they may throw her in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just because it's back-to-back TV series. Carry it over. You don't know. She may make an appearance in that just because, hey, we just had WandaVision. If you're from a marketing standpoint, you just had WandaVision, right? You would want to take your star character or Vision, I can't even rule out Vision, and show up in the next TV series in Disney Plus. So they want to carry that over. They may do it like that too. But yeah. But as for her kids, distance, maybe season 3, some. I don't know.
It's a good point. And that's also a good point too. Like, we don't know if we're even going to get another WandaVision. We have no idea. Like, I mean, the way everything is set up right now is it looks like it's one season, and we're moving on, and like we're just going through it. But see, we don't know, like, show-wise, right? When it comes to Disney Plus shows, we know we had WandaVision, we had Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we have Loki coming up. We're going to get a She-Hulk series, a Miss Marvel series, and a Moon Knight series. That's all we know. That's it right now. We don't know anything else. We just know that's where we're at. So that's a good point. Like, what will the show look like? Will we get another season? Will we not? They're in an interesting spot because they could very well, like, we know at this point Scarlet Witch is going to play a major role in Phase 4. Like, throughout this phase. Yeah. Something is going to happen, right? We know the Multiverse of Madness is coming. She's already in that. That's going to be... It's not even going to be just a Doctor Strange movie. That's basically a Doctor Strange Scarlet Witch movie. It feels like that's what that's going to be. What it is, we don't know. We don't know what it is. Is it that she already fucked up reality at that point? So now he's got to try and figure out what the fuck's going on? Is it we get into the process of her fucking it up? We don't know. Now, remember, originally... Spider-Man 3 was scheduled to launch after Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which is why everybody at first was like, holy shit, this is going to fuck some shit up. That's why everybody really at first was jumping in full steam. We're getting all the Spider-Men in here. They're going to do it. I'm still on that, even though Tom Holland's like, no, I didn't see him. Listen, Tom Holland ain't going to say he saw him, all right? He ain't going to say that. That'd be awful. He ain't going to say that. If this is the
I
case...
think they would film... I think they would...
The MCU would do it'd be like, no, you don't get to see who... Like, remember, he didn't even get to see who fucking died at Endgame because they knew he'd probably spoil it.
Exactly. Like, I think they would put him in front of a green screen or something like that, and just not even tell him or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So that's part of it too, right? This is gonna be so interesting. Moving forward, what are we gonna see? Right? Like I said, this is the kickstart. We know Phase 4 is going to go on for a little while. We've got a lot of movies to tie into it. Shang-Chi, you've got the Eternals, you've got Spider-Man, you've got Doctor Strange, you've got Thor, Love and Thunder, you've got another Guardians at some point. A Fantastic Four is lined up. A Blade is lined up. Captain Marvel 2, Ant-Man and Wasp. There is a ton to get into, as well as the fact that there's a rumor that Kevin Feige is working on a movie so far with the title The Mutants, which could be, obviously, the introduction of the X-Men. Would it be? I don't know. And that was my big thing, too, is this is like a perfect way for them to possibly take Scarlet Witch, and when BK talked about House of M, and that's her basically getting rid of it, like just like mutants are gone, and then now you have this opportunity here for her to create mutants. Could that be the case? Let her be the mother of mutants. That would be so interesting. That was another thing too when they talked about potential like big surprises that we didn't get. Right? We didn't get these huge cameos, but man. The one that got me that I was like, this doesn't make any sense, but holy shit, if it happened, was Magneto. Like, that would have just blew my mind to a point where, like, I knew it wouldn't have made sense, but I would have been just so mind blown by it that I wouldn't have been able to handle what was going on. But I think, moving forward, we're going to see, like I said, Wanda's going to play the pivotal role. Scarlet Witch is going to play that pivotal role throughout this, right? Is she going to be in the way of, not necessarily as a major villain in Phase 4, I don't know that, but like, remember how throughout these phases, Thanos had a piece in everything. Like, every little bit, you could sprinkle him in. You sprinkled in some type of end scene or something that had to do with Thanos. Is Scarlet Witch going to play that role now in Phase 4 where, because she's, like, obviously very, very strong, and she's fucking around with the Darkhold, and there's going to probably be more reality shit getting fucked up, is she going to have that role where there's a little pieces, like David said, you can see it's starting right here with Falcon and Winter Soldier, as it starts to sprinkle in these little things of like, oh, there's the Scarlet Witch there. There's something that connects to the Scarlet Witch. There's something that connects to her in each of these movies. Again, it's hard because we don't know. Like, we don't know anything. We're pretty much in the dark. We just know the movie's coming out. That's all we know. We just don't know what's going to connect to what, how's this all going to roll out. BK, do you have theories moving forward for the MCU?
I got a few. I'm gonna kind of piggyback on top of what you said, because I do agree the whole House of M thing, where I had the same thought of you, where she could be like the mother of mutants, and I think she does that. Like, she makes a reality, something happens to where she's kind of tired of being the most powerful person, like all that stuff like that. So she just wants to make more people like her. It's a counterbalance reaction to like what happened here, because she was so powerful, she took over everyone else. I could almost see her wanting to step back. All right, here, I'm just gonna give a lot of people powers so I can kind of chill in the background and like let y'all figure this out. And then I think at the conclusion of that storyline, though, she takes away like half of them or whatever. Like, of half the people she created, she just she blips them away or like whatever it was like that. And doesn't blip them away.
Their powers
just removes their powers and they go back. Exactly, and because I think that makes it super interesting going forward. Like, who keeps it, who doesn't? How do you react to having those powers and then losing them? All that stuff like that. That can be very interesting. And I agree with your Wanda, like kind of like Easter eggs and like crumbs along the way, but like in a different sense. I think it's more of like she's the Black Widow / Iron Man, like Tony Stark, like tie together between, because Iron Man was like he was kind of like the interconnecting webbing, literally of the Avengers and all that stuff like that. He was kind of the one who was in more movies than like anyone else. Him and Scarlet and Black Widow, excuse me, were in more movies than anyone else. And I think that's what her role is really going to be, is helping to tie all these disparate properties together, because she is so powerful and because she can change reality and go wherever, just like kind of like Doctor Strange. They can both be at a lot of places at once. And I know people are thinking like, well, Brendan, they're setting up Spider-Man to be Tony Stark. Exactly. But they've kind of already said that he wants to stay in the neighborhood. He's going to be very New York based. Like, yeah, he went to like Europe and he kind of didn't even really want that. Like, I think he's going to stay back and he's going to take on that kind of front-facing role of Iron Man, but he won't be the connective tissue for the universe going forward. I think that's going to be Wanda. I think you're absolutely right in that, and I think Doctor Strange ties in with that as well.
Well, especially now we know that Tom Holland has finished his contractual obligation for Spider-Man standalone movies. Now, he said he's totally on board. He wants to keep going, but we have to see how that goes with the studios. We know Sony and this Disney relationship is weird, so it makes so much sense for letting someone else, a character that you have control of completely, to be the main webbing, like you said, no pun intended with Spider-Man, to hold everything together. David, what are some of your theories here as we move forward into Phase 4? Because it's really just unknown territory at this point.
Oh yeah, it's completely unknown territory. We literally just have a TV series.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. I don't even know if you even count the Spider-Man because it happened so close to after Endgame.
Because
I don't
Spider-Man
even
feels
know if
like
you
the
even
bookend,
consider
you
that.
know? Right.
So it's like
Yeah.
a bookend, even though Endgame's really the bookend.
Right.
It's just it's
Yeah.
like a
The epilogue. It's like
I don't even know. It's like I don't even know what you consider. It's like almost
Yeah.
like a 2-hour end credit scene of Endgame. So that's basically what it is, because it literally takes place right when Endgame basically ends, or
Yeah.
because everyone comes back together and you're like, oh, how does life continue? But man, see, like how I kind of mentioned earlier, like both your scenarios are kind of your like or BK scenario, like she turns into the bad, like Wanda turns into the bad person, right? Now it happens so much and we think that's gonna happen. Is that the approach that Disney wants to take, or the MCU wants to take, that okay, everyone already thinks she's gonna be the bad person? Yeah, they're probably not gonna do that, right? You got to think about it from that perspective, right? Everyone was shocked and different, right? So I think they're going to take a different approach on who's the bad person. And the only reason why I think this is they're not going to build her up being so good, this good person, and get like the girls that watch the show and, then make her into a bad person right at the end.
she's a bad bitch.
I don't think Disney wants to push that message across, or at least go that direction. From at least my perspective, they don't want to do that. They want to keep her probably good for this era or this next group. Maybe after this, whatever this next big patch is, maybe she becomes a bad person. I don't know, but I think she stays on the good end for majority of this. Hopefully.
Knock on wood.
I mean, there's a lot of bad guy characters that they could pull into the system, like, and choose, right? So they just have to go out and pick one. And how do they incorporate all that? I don't know. So
Right.
We'll see. But I don't think Scarlet Witch will be the main character overall.
Okay.
Obviously we know she's a powerful Avenger, but I think it's hard to say who will be that main character. I know how we said like Spider-Man is kind of being set up to be the next Tony Stark and hand over all that, but we don't know. We probably know in the next movie when that comes out what direction that's going in. I honestly have no idea which direction this will go into. It's just no one could really predict. Yeah, I mean, at this point, unless you literally work for Disney Plus and writing the scripts and have some idea, that's the only way you're gonna know, because you have to follow some type of guideline for the story to progress. So that would be the only persons or any people that would really know. Man, I mean, you could literally say anything and you have a chance to be right.
Right.
So I'm just gonna say that Scarlet will stay on the good side for this.
I think that's super interesting. Just because like I could see it going a lot of ways, like you said. I think writing a story where she does, like, you're seeing it, like, if it's the biggest thing to me and where this could go is the looks that she got from those people when they got all their memories back, and the way they looked at her, and she was like, they couldn't do anything if they tried, and she just dipped, and I was like, damn. She just straight up said fuck y'all and left, like, no repercussions, nothing's going on for the fact that she took over a whole town and fucked with their heads. They just let her dip. And like, I feel like that'd be so crazy if that doesn't get checked, like, at some point, like are we just gonna let them grow wild? Which, again, I think when you see the way that they looked at Scarlet Witch compared to how they look at Iron Man or Captain America or Thor or any of those characters, there is some type of animosity, rightfully so. And now that leads you to such a good catalyst to build the mutants from that. And let that be the thing, because that's now where we stem from, where people, because if you pay attention at all the Marvel lore in the comics, people, like, there's a big majority of people that hate the mutants. They hate them because they're different and because they're weird and like all these things. That would be so great of Wanda to like create. you have to find a way to create mutants. You're not going to be. There's no way
Absolutely.
that you can sit here and tell me they've been around this whole time and we didn't know about them. That's fucking dumb. That would piss me off because that's lazy writing. Like, so there has to be something, and Marvel has not shown any of that like that lately at all, of the lazy writing. So they're going to do something with it. Is it Wanda? That seems like a layup. That seems like a really good bet. You know, if you're a gambling man, throw some money on. That's an easy, safe bet that it is going to create something from that. She's going to create the mutant somehow. However, again, with this multiverse, we don't know. Like, they could come in through the multiverse and they just show the fuck up and something happens. But then again, that's weird too, because then that means you're only going to have a select few mutants. If you're going to tell a proper X-Men story, it has to be about the mutants struggling to, like, because they're struggling with society, and then like how society views them with their powers and shit like that. So you have to somehow create that. And I thought that was a great little building block if you want to use them, how the people of the town looked at Wanda when she was leaving, and like how Wanda just like Loki just didn't give a fuck. I don't care. Like, fuck them. They ain't shit. And I'm like, oh wow, all right, let's go. So that's interesting. You know, and the biggest thing too is like, I think Marvel would be so smart to not have like this. You know, when we started with the MCU, before we even knew, right? You got Iron Man, you had the Hulk movie and all that, and you started to get these little building blocks, and then we had Loki. Loki was such a good first villain for the Avengers, right? And then, you know, it continued to build until we had Ultron, and then it built to Thanos. You have to do that again. Like, I don't think you can go here in this phase 4 and just go straight, just right into some big bad again, like some huge level big bad. Like, I know people are talking about Kang, and because of Ant-Man and Wasp,
and like, camp.
Yeah, like, that is it gonna be Kang? I think you're gonna get some type of appearance from Kang, but it's not. I just don't see it being like you're just gonna go straight to that. You can go right to Kang, right away. Like, I feel like you have to sprinkle in these villains that are, you know, I'm not gonna call them like low tiered villains, but they're just not the S class. Like, you just got the Avengers to do this. Yeah, because you got these Avengers to go on this huge story we just went through of the Infinity Saga, right? Of like to all lead to this. It all led to Thanos. And like, you got to breathe. Like, we have to breathe now. The stories need to breathe. You need to start really building a lot of characters again, because you lost a lot of main ones, right? You lost Iron Man, you lost Captain America, Black Widow looks like she's gone, and like, what happens with Hulk? We don't know. Thor's doing his thing, but you have to start to build these characters again, and this is a great way to do it. Obviously, right off the bat, boom. There's your Omega Avenger. There she is. Boom. It's Scarlet Witch. Even when they say rivals the Sorcerer Supreme, boom. All right, there it is. Because we all assume Doctor Strange will probably be one of the strongest left, but nope, boop. There's Scarlet Witch. We know how strong Captain Marvel is. We know those few of those. So we're going to build into that. Obviously, I think another big thing, too, when we talk about who's going to start to be the face of the Avengers, the Chadwick Boseman death obviously plays a really significant role in this now, because Black Panther was definitely going to be ramped up to be one of those main pillars for the Avengers, and now that I just don't see how that goes. I don't see a logical way that happens. But to David's point, you can throw anything at the wall here and see what sticks, because we are at the beginning again. This is a whole new thing now. This is not. That's why I hope that MCU fans don't just assume we're just gonna get this massive payoff. Like, we're gonna get this massive Avenger movie, and it's just gonna be what we saw in Infinity War and Endgame, because there's just no way. I don't see that. It doesn't make sense for the life of the studio. Like, when you're trying to draw it out, and you're trying to continue to build this universe, and now that we're going to get into a multiverse, and you have all these new properties you have to work on. When you get all these new properties and all these new characters, you have to build them. So that's what this is going to be. I think Phase 4 is going to be a ton of what Phase 1 was, and that is just building blocks, getting everything ready, and we will get there when we do. I remember the first time we got the glimpse of Thanos, and I was just shook. I was like, oh my God, we're doing this. We're going to do this at some point. We're getting to it. And it was such a great payoff. And now I wonder, what is the next one? right? We know the Fantastic Four is going to be involved. When will we get Galactus? Oof. Can't wait. Doctor Doom. What a great villain that can be. If you do it right, it's going to be fantastic. So like Dave said, you could really throw anything at the wall here. My biggest thing is there's no way it's a major S tier villain. It can't be. So whether that's Wanda being the sprinkle villain in there, whether she's just kind of doing her own thing and then something happens, because the way they left her seems weird. She's left in this way of like, you liked her because it was so fucking cool and like how she fought Agatha and like all that's really dope. But she also gave you this weird vibe of like she was just kind of like, fuck this. Like, that's what she's on. And that is so interesting to see. Also to keep in mind, and people forget about this, to David's point, because of when Spider-Man came out, it felt like an extended Endgame. But now we know from the timeline, WandaVision takes place first. Because WandaVision is 8 days in. So now you go back and watch Spider-Man, and you're like, damn, why does J. Jonah Jameson, the original actor, show up? Is that just a throwaway because you wanted the original actor to show in? Or is it because we know the multiverse? Or is the multiverse fucking up? We don't know.
Well, from what I read so far, they said they had to get him back, as in like the actor. So they've made it seem like they just wanted him in the same energy.
It totally could be.
That could be. Yeah, and like you say, it could be the whole red herring thing. But I also think I think Kang is the next big baddie because I also think he's an awesome Avengers villain. I think more or less they threw the nugget in there just for like hardcore fans and more or less to lock down an actor now because when they did the first Thanos tease at the end of Avengers, Josh Brolin wasn't locked in for the role. Also because like the MCU wasn't what it is now. Right. It doesn't have all this clout that it does now. And so they can go now and be like, yeah, like we have this role for you. You're probably gonna have little bits and pieces. You're gonna have maybe 30 seconds of screen time in like however many 4 or 5 movies. But we're gonna have the build up. You're gonna be the next baddie. But your movies aren't gonna come for 10, 12 years.
Right.
And then if people don't know, and when you talked, it was a great point with unfortunately Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P. Passed away, and Black Panther. Because I think he was going to be a big part. I think Captain Marvel is going to be a really big part. She does kind of take on that mantle in the comics. And she's one of the integral parts of Civil War II storyline. She gets into the fact of it's almost like Minority Report. She kind of wants to not police people's thoughts, but she was like, well, if we can stop someone from taking a horrific action on Earth and wiping out millions, if not billions of people, I'm going to do that because at Alpha Flight, she's out there like on the the edge of Earth's atmosphere, like in space, and so she's meant to combat alien threats and like kind of approach them before they come. And something happens with the Inhumans. I can't remember exactly like what happened, like bit by bit, but she's like all for like, oh yeah, like if I know something's going to happen beforehand, I'm going to absolutely lock that person up because I'm in charge of millions and billions of lives.
It's the one Inhuman that has the ability to see the future.
Yeah, I just can't remember. The Inhumans suck. I've never liked them in like comic. They're just I always thought of humans. I was like, this is just low rent mutants. This is what it is. It's low rent mutants. The only Inhuman I like is Luna Lafayette, Moon Girl, the Devil Dinosaur, MCU. In the universe, she's awesome. I love her. She has a giant dinosaur like a pet dog. It's fantastic. Imagine Duke like a dinosaur. I'm on board.
You brought up something, though, that made me jog something again. You mentioned Captain Marvel. You mentioned Civil War II. During WandaVision, we get this discussion of who's the most powerful Avenger, and it's almost like reading a Reddit thread between the characters. And they talk about Scarlet, and then they mention Captain Marvel. Boy, oh boy, how cool would that be if we really get the showdown of Captain Marvel and the Scarlet Witch at some point? Man, that'd be fucking sweet.
Boner jams. You want to talk about real boners. You're like,
Yeah, real boners coming through. I also almost forgot, we had another question that was asked us. So David, I'll start with you on this one. Caitlin asked this one. Shout out to you. And she said, what the fuck happened to Vision? Where'd he go? The white one just disappeared. Where the fuck did he go? Do you have any thoughts, David, on where he could have went? He just dipped.
For all you know, he wants to go fuck up Thanos. So
We're just looking for Thanos. Thanos is gone.
his last.
Thanos dead.
Think of what his last memory is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know Thanos is technically dead.
It's like, where this motherfucker at? I want to throw some hands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. To be honest, he just left the area, right? Where he's going, I have no clue. But you know, one theory could be like, yeah, he doesn't know Thanos is technically dead yet, unless Darcy told him. You know, when they had their little, he may know because of Darcy. I think kind of told him when they were in the little clown vehicle driving around and he kept asking questions. But he was also not really taking her seriously, neither. Though, but that was the other vision, right? So I don't know if that vision transferred what he knew to the white vision. You know what I mean?
Right.
What happened in the bubble.
Yeah, and that happened in the little bubble, right? But so I don't know. But obviously you saw that when he unlocked all of his memories, he learned what happened to himself, like what happened, right? So I don't know if like they got any. I don't know if they gave him like an updated of history of what happened after he died. I doubt it, right? I don't think that's in his program file. I think that's literally just his body and what he knows, and that's all that's probably in his memory. That's all. So he probably left, and to be honest, he probably went right back. He's probably, if I had to guess, he's probably going to Wakanda. Because that's where it took place. So that's probably where he's heading.
Go talk to Shuri. Good point.
He's probably heading to Wakanda.
It's a great point. It's a great point.
That would be my guess to where he's going.
That's a great point.
BK, do you have thoughts?
My only thought on White Vision is that I think it'll come down to where he ultimately has to like kill himself again. Like he kind of like sacrificed himself in like this one. I think it'll be like an overarching arc, and I think they kind of planted the seeds of this as like, oh, okay, he needs to take out, Vision. He needs to take out himself. Like, cause he's one of those like I made reference for. He's nearly OP. He's super strong. He's this synthezoid / android that. And even Hayward like touched on, I was like, he can't be controlled, and this is like a kind of a scary thought to have, that this is something that is not really human but kind of is, and it has all this power, that I think ultimately at the end, like he's gonna fall on the grenade and kind of take himself out eventually. I think that's like way down the line.
I did think they did a great job here of giving us Vision again, right? Not getting rid of Vision. Vision still gets to be around. Because now that the White Vision has all the memories of the real Vision, this is a great way, again, to continue to keep a character around. Because at first I was like, damn, like we already lost Vision. Like they just put him in, bro. Like, all right. And for us to get him back is actually really, really cool. What kind of role does he play with Wanda moving forward? Because obviously he has his memories. And he knows he at some point loves Wanda. So what is that going to play moving forward? And also, seems like Scarlet Witch doesn't know what the fuck is going on when it comes to Vision, because all he says to her at the end, the fake one, is like, well, I'm sure we'll meet again. And she doesn't know. She doesn't even know anything about what happened.
She knows the White Vision's still alive.
She doesn't. She probably doesn't. That's my thought process. She has no fucking clue. So maybe is Vision going to play a role in showing up again and trying to help reel the Scarlet Witch in a little bit later down the road when it's needed? I don't know, but he straight up dipped.
I mean, all right, so now I'll cross over my theory, what I thought. If she becomes, let's say she's the next small villain. Let's say that she's not the big villain. Let's say she's a small one, right? And they reel her back in to become an Avenger to fight the bigger villain down the road, right? You have your Captain Marvel versus her fight, right?
Oh, that'd be so
And the person that reels her in is the White Vision shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And she would just be so mind-blowing, not even knowing what she wouldn't know what reality is right there and then, because she would think that Vision's dead.
Right.
She wouldn't believe it's real or true. So that would be a more mind-blowing, like, oh my god moment that I could see Disney going with, if you think about it from that perspective, because she doesn't know that he's alive. She doesn't know that the White Vision even has the memories that he has.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's gonna blow her mind, he's probably gonna say some type of fact that the only like the Vision that she knows would know, like that literally died, that she saw died, he's gonna say some fact that, you know, and they'll probably do some like cutscene thing, like probably something like we don't know, but they'll show like some moment back in like in time with like one of their first romantic dates or something, and then she'll be like, oh my god, and then she'll come back, and then she'll settle down. So we'll have like a civil war. That's what's gonna happen, because she's gonna be the strongest one. If we go with that approach, it's possible. And we'll see.
I think that's so interesting. I think a second type of civil war would be so fucking cool, where you get like these people are like, I don't know, I mean, I kind of vibe with Scarlet, but like, but Captain Marvel's got a good point, and like that's what we lead into, because
it does make sense because of the fact that you said like, hey, some type of actions have to happen for her role that she did right now, right? She can't just be like, not go punish, right? Yeah. Now, when does that happen? I don't know. Maybe it's an end credit scene in Captain Marvel, because, you know, she's not even on Earth, right? She's out in the galaxy. That's usually... And then, like, I know how BK said that maybe she's, like, plays a bigger role later on. Captain Marvel needs to kind of stay on Earth a little bit more for her to be, like, the big role.
Right.
You know, she's never there. She always leaves. You know, I know why she leaves and why she does that. But, you know, if you want to be that main role or that main person, you kind of have to be on Earth.
And is the Skrull invasion going to be what brings Captain Marvel back to Earth, and then it becomes this whole thing? Like, we don't know, and that's what I love so much about this is it's a blank slate. It feels like, in a way, right? It feels like we are resetting from, you know,
a reset.
Yeah.
Just don't even think about anything that happened in the Infinity Saga. You're starting fresh. That's basically what it is. You got bits and pieces from the Infinity. It's really more of an aftermath of Infinity.
Yep.
And then you start fresh. That's basically what's happening.
Yep. And it's pretty crazy. I mean, again, we saw it even in the show, the repercussions of after the blip, what happened, and like Monica just showing up. It's still in the hospital, like where she was when she got snapped away, and like all these little things. We're seeing it, and I'm really interested to see what they do moving forward, especially with Falcon and Winter Soldier next week when that starts. Can't wait. Wonder if they'll do a 1-2 thing again, like they did with WandaVision. That would be interesting as well.
So if anyone who's still listening doesn't like WandaVision, I think the next series, Captain and American Soldier, is going to be better, because that's more MCU style. It's going to be your action, your comic relief kind of mixed in, I would assume, but it's gonna be more action. I think it's gonna be more action driven, as where Wanda wasn't really high up there in the.
It's very much story and mystery driven.
Very more story, somewhat sitcom related TV series. Where I think this show is gonna be more heavy action, because you see the two. They're both fighters. Like, you know, I mean, we may get some story based, obviously, because, you know, he's starting off as Captain America. Basically, it's it's the handover, right? You have this. You know, he's going to be in this wow factor. You're going to have some storyline. But I would anticipate more action in this series.
Right. That's a very good point. I mean, Lane says, I want to see a series about those that returned. That would be so sweet. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Like, to get, like, an idea of, like, or whether that's even in a series, or whether that's just something that they mention in a show later down the road, or a movie, to really kind of explain what it was like for those people that returned. Because we only see a little bit of it, like I said, with Monica and like her mom being gone, and in her mind, her mom was just there, like her mom died 3 years ago, and that's so crazy to me. And there's a lot of story to be told there, so that's gonna be really interesting.
We saw a little bit of that too in Spider-Man too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like
So,
people coming back and being like, "Oh,
yeah,
that's right," because you had kids that were already seniors, but they were actually Peter's grade, right? Pretty sure that's how that went down.
Yeah, and then Aunt May had her like housing relocation like thing. Like people like that blip back, and they were like, someone's in my house, because like, you know, they were dead for they were dead for 3 years. So it's like, yeah, there's that whole I think that would be a really cool show, just to like, and now that makes more sense as a show. Just like you have individual stories, like one episode, like one story, you do like 30-45 minutes about like how people are coping in different areas and all that. I think that'd be really good. I think,
you know what you do then? That's where you pull in Jimmy Woo.
Yeah,
that's the show.
That would be dope.
that'd be great.
I love it. They did such a
Oh,
great
man.
job with this show, though. Like we've said, I mean, there was like a couple little things in there they could nitpick at it, but overall, it was a great show, and that's why I don't know if we'll get a season 2 or if we need to. It felt great how it was, and what a great piece of content that is for Marvel moving forward, and it's a great launching point now for the Disney Plus series because, boy, the only reason I really needed Disney Plus was for Mandalorian, and now I have it now waiting for the MCU shows as well. So it's pretty damn good. Anything else before we sign off?
Not to suck Marvel's dick more here though,
Oh,
but
go
I
ahead.
think this show was kind of a risk. Not saying Wanda and Vision are the biggest characters, but they haven't had individual movies. Their names haven't been in the title of a movie, like referring to like they're literally of like Winter Soldier, like he was the big baddie in Captain America, Winter Soldier, like his name's right there in the title, front and center. And I think it was a big risk, like I said, because the whole human Anderson, it's a weird story to try to do first too. Like just like, hey, this is the MCU in Disney Plus. This is the TV form of it. That's a tough ask to do, and the fact that they've sold people on it, wow. It reminds me of when they first did Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man. Like Marvel's like, all right, we're gonna do Guardians of the Galaxy, and we're gonna do Ant-Man. And people were like, oh, this is when the MCU is gonna fuck up. This is when they're gonna slip. And then Guardians fucking crushed it. Ant-Man's charming as hell, and it's just like, all right, like just.
You had the right person playing fucking Ant-Man. You had Paul Rudd. Like, come on, who doesn't want
I
some fucking Paul Rudd?
remember very distinctly when they announced that casting. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. And I remember everybody being like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I could take him for a superhero. Like, we're gonna see. And then it's like, wow, it happened. I was like, holy shit. Yeah, they nailed it. That was good. Yeah.
And then just, and they did Baby Groot, and it's just like, all right, like there's just enough Disney in these MCU and like even Star Wars projects directly referring to Grogu. Like there's just enough Disney of that cuteness where like they have an idea with like these super nerds just have an idea and they're like, oh, yeah, like, we want to do the cute thing. And they just call it, hey, you guys just make them cute as fuck. Like, seriously, like, and, like, you can just sell all the merchandise and toys all that. And Disney's like, gotcha, fam, we got this all locked down. They hang out that phone, like, in a fit of joy, and they just hours design the character, and they're just like, yep, money, please. That's how I picture it going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with BK. Like, if you were to think what Disney Plus would do, you would probably be like, you know what? They're going to go with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier first, right?
Mm-hmm.
No way. I don't know who pitched the idea at Disney Plus is like, you know what? No, we go on WandaVision. They definitely want for it, right? Because, you're looking at the board of directors, right? And you had these two next to each other, right? I'm pretty sure, or even if you even had a select, like a showing to X amount of people and let them vote, I'm pretty sure they would have picked the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Just because of the fact of what it represents and who it's directed to, right? It's basically your next Captain America. Right, that's the whole hand down. That's the big name. That's your main Avenger, basically. That's all of that revolves around that. You would think that would be your first one you would go to if you're trying to draw in that crowd into Disney Plus for a TV series. But this show wasn't a letdown. So it worked out great for them. And then now it just leads right into now, like, hey, like Ryan said, we have a bar set. And let's see where it goes from here. Overall, the show was great. I think we get another season for this for Scarlet. I don't think Scarlet gets her own movie. I think we'll do another season with her. I don't know how soon it will be, right? They got to add some time in there because all the movies got delayed. They can't have her have another season without some of the story progressing with other people. So she's definitely, it's going to be a year or two. They have to delay it because all the movies have been delayed.
Right.
Either that, or if they do a season 2 relatively quick because Disney Plus needs to get some stuff out from that perspective. Obviously, it looks like Disney Plus has the lineup, right? They want a new show out once another show ends. And that seems like their theme right now. And they're not going to stop the gap because they want to keep those subscriptions coming. Mm-hmm. If you get a season 2, then it's probably not going to be too heavily involved with the stories of the other people, the other characters per se, which I think they don't want to go that approach. but they will if they have to. They'll change the story for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, with Disney Plus subscriptions, and now we're going to get these more MCU shows. We're going to continue to get more Star Wars shows. Like, now it starts to feel like, oh, this is why we have a Disney Plus subscription. Like, this was it. Besides, obviously, all the other stuff you can watch from Disney, all the other stuff. It's all fan-fucking-tastic. It's great. But, like, these are the selling points, like David said. So, this is, it's going to be really interesting to see moving forward where the MCU goes, and I am excited. As always, everybody, you can check us out on Twitter and Instagram. It's at AMNationPod. Make sure you hit that follow button. On YouTube, search Amalgamation Nation and hit that sub button. You can listen on podcast platforms of choice such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. Please follow, rate, all that good stuff. Leave a comment on those podcast services. That would be very much appreciated. Also, if you're looking for merch for AM Nation or Undead Red Bull, it's teesprings.com/store/AMNation-Undead Red Bull. You can find it in the podcast description that you're listening to down below. There's a link. Also, our pinned tweet on Twitter and in the description on twitch.tv/Undead Red Bull, which is where you watch us Tuesdays and Thursday nights, as well as David streaming throughout the week. You follow him there, and you can give him a sub as well. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a free sub a month, so give it to Undead Red Bull. If you want to be a part of the show, any of the future shows we do, leave a voicemail or text the show, 815-556-9089. Shout out to Elaine and Caitlin for having some questions for us today for the Wandavision in review. Very much appreciated. We're back Tuesday for our March Madness bracket show, and if you like these review shows, we have one coming up towards the end of the month for Justice League, the Snyder Cut. What will we think after 4 hours of DC EU? Boy, oh boy, I hope it's good, but god damn it, we will see. As always, everybody, I'm so excited. I'm ready. Be safe out there. Have yourself a good weekend. Enjoy your stimmies and stay breezy.